that, and I found this article about the wave and everything. So I contacted Kelly, and at the same time I thought to myself, you know, I think I know this person. And she wrote back saying, that's right, I took a class from you, 2 classes from you about 6 years ago.
There was nothing here but walls, and they said, can you plant this? And I said, absolutely. So my parameters in the garden were no trees. They were concerned about the views and color. They love color. So I took that and decided that it had to be a Mediterranean palette, which is California, Chile, tip of South Africa, Mediterranean basin, and a little part of Australia, 4% of the world's earth mass. Very diverse plant palette that we get to enjoy. So the plants had to be from regions of the world that are the same climate as us. We have to be sustainable. So this was supported 100% by the client. He thought that was a great idea. We do irrigate this garden. It is on drip irrigation. The older the garden gets, the less water it takes. We have to be careful when we put new plants in because they need more water, so we have to subsidize the irrigation system just by hand on the new plants. But you know, if we had a drought and the water stopped, this garden would still be beautiful. It became the Wave Garden. It was named that after it was built. And Victor put in the walls in a very fluid way like water. So I followed his lead and planted the plants like they were liquid, like how it would move within his walls. And then the name kind of came, the Wave Garden. So come in. Here's Bill Wallace. He's everywhere. I soil test most always on a new site. So the soil test came back here from this site, sandy loam, high nitrogen. I mean, it's amazing. That's what you usually want when you're done with the garden. So people have told me that this was where the cows were, and the barn was up here, you know, many, many years ago. This also was a garden, so I didn't need to do a lot with the soil. Because these plants come from places that have depleted soils, they don't want a lot of nitrogen. You can tell where there's too much nitrogen because the plant has gotten too big. Once the plant gets too big, then it has to be cut, and then we're using a lot of the maintenance. So what we want is we want to add just enough soil so the plants do fine.
Plants that grow in similar kinds of conditions tend to look good together. So they tend to share certain kinds of foliage textures. They tend to share certain values on the color chart of light or dark. They tend to share certain kinds of forms and patterns of growth and profiles. So when you're doing a garden like this, you've got so much in it, but because you're choosing plants from areas where things all grow in similar conditions, you don't have these big collisions that you so often see.
I hear Chris's voice often. Wrap the plants so that they embrace. Hug it, bring it around, let it embrace it. And it gives it flow. And that's because the eye travels in that same way. The eye is looking for movement, and the eye is looking for connections. And that's what we want to do. We want to give the eye what it's looking for. So it feels good. Very pleased with how these aeoniums did in this bed. I like it when they get full like that. That's what I'm looking for, is a presence. I want it to look like a shape. I don't want to plant one plant, I want to plant 10. I want it to have a form. That's what Chris taught me. Well, you know, I did a book, but we never used it. And then right plant, right place.
Right, right, right.